Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I am back at you with a new look today. I chopped off all of my hair a few weeks ago, and this is my first time sitting down to film a podcast after I've done it. You know, it's funny. I had been feeling the urge to cut my hair, to chop it off for quite some time. And it got to a point where I would be like watching this podcast back and editing it and seeing myself with long hair and feeling like it just like didn't belong there. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like it just felt like it didn't belong there. And when I actually went to go get my hair cut, my eyes started to water, but not out of like sadness of like cutting off all my hair. It was like I was feeling relief because I had felt like it didn't belong there. Like I needed it gone for so long. And it was just, I'm a mom, you guys. Like the long hair is a lot to maintain, and I just wasn't maintaining it. And when I went to actually go chop it off, it felt really good, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I've never had my hair this short before. I think maybe in first grade, and maybe even then it was slightly longer. So yeah, I know that hair holds memory, it holds energy. So I think it was just time. But anyways, we have a big topic today. I want to talk about the fear of being seen. This is something that I've been working to overcome over the last year, and this podcast is a big part of this. If you have listened to this podcast in the past, listened to previous episodes, I've talked about my throat chakra being a huge block for me and the process of kind of working through that. So I feel like the fear of being seen kind of goes along with a lot of that inner work that I was already doing. But specifically, the fear of being seen has been what has held me back from being seen on a larger level, right? Like this podcast felt really safe to me in a way because, like, yes, I'm putting it on the internet, but it's not as easy to search or not as easy to be seen as, let's say, an app like TikTok. So actually, I don't know, maybe you remember if you've listened before to this podcast, but basically my intuition was guiding me to share my story on TikTok. Like that was the very first thing. And then I tried that, but I was trying to, like I had a lot to say. I was trying to say things without showing my face, without like actually being seen. And so I was trying to like piece together these different images and like videos to try and like put text. It wasn't working. It was really stressful and I quit. And it was also really overwhelming for my nervous system because I just wasn't at a place where I was just ready to be seen. So spent the year doing work. I've been showing up to this podcast, and all of that has gotten me to a place where I finally got back on TikTok. And I posted my very first video several weeks ago, and that very first video went viral. I mean, we'll say like lightweight viral. Like I don't know what the kids are calling viral these days, but I think it's up to like maybe like 12,000 likes at this point. Maybe like 80,000 people have seen the video, and the video is the initial story of me discovering that I'm an energy healer. So kind of discovering that my hands move on their own and that I have the ability to heal, and that whole story, right? I know this in this podcast, that story took like 35 minutes, but I was able to cut it down to like 7 minutes for TikTok. And that's still a fairly long video. And somehow that video, my very first one, ended up going viral. And so I have been consistently posting to TikTok regularly over the last two weeks or so, maybe 3 weeks. And yeah, so that was like, TikTok was like my Everest. It was like I've been taking steps to build the courage to let myself be seen. And I knew that TikTok was still important, that I was going to one day still have to come back to that. But because that's where my intuition really was guiding me. And I mean, even with this podcast, my initial plan was to create this TikTok where I just put together small clips from my podcast and posted it there. And what ended up happening was I did that initial video of me just talking and sharing my story because I knew I needed to give that as like the intro of who I am and what I'm here to say, or kind of narrow in on what I wanted to talk about. So I knew I had to film that separately. So I did that. And I had spent weeks rewatching the podcast and preparing all of these mini clips, and I had them all saved in drafts on TikTok ready to go. And the second I posted that first video, I went to go post one of the podcast clips, and that just didn't feel aligned. It just like, I don't know how to explain it, just didn't feel right. And so I deleted all of those drafts, and I was like, I'm just going to create new videos for TikTok and just share my thoughts, share different like small stories, because it's like a short form platform, right? So different stories about what it really looks like to tune into my intuition, and just giving a lot of examples and just things that I've been inspired to talk about. So I think that in summary, I think that that was the initial idea. And through this process of building courage and allowing myself to be seen, I climbed Everest, you guys. I did it. I finally got to a point where I felt comfortable doing that, and my face is out there. I'm putting these videos on the internet and they're being seen, and I feel really calm and I have a lot of peace. And I know that all of the work that I've done on my nervous system and just, all these different things have played a huge role in helping me get here. So that was the longest intro of the world. And now I want to spend the actual episode talking about what happened over the past year. Like, what did I actually do that helped me climb my Everest? Okay, so I have written down 3 different things that I think have been important to me in order to get me to this point of climbing my Everest, of getting on TikTok and allowing myself to fully be visible and be seen. The first being, I had to rewrite the story I was telling myself about what it meant to be seen. So first, I had to depersonalize it. I had to make it about the message and not about me. I spent a lot of time listening to other creators who helped me shift this perspective, right? Like this, like consuming content kind of in line with the new thoughts and beliefs that you want to hold. Like that has been a consistent way that I have worked to rewire my brain, or the way that I think. So there was this creator, I believe it's I understood or something like that. I'll link it. But she had a really good message about when the message is so important, like it gets to this place where it is just so important, and like this strong desire, this knowing that you have to share it. When that becomes big enough, that is when it will supersede anything that you feel about yourself. And a lot of her messages were really helpful for me. So step 1, I had to depersonalize it. Step 2, in terms of rewriting this story, there was another big part of me that was just like, felt like posting online, especially at the beginning, right? Like before there's any success to tie to it, being seen as a beginner, being seen trying, there's this like cringe factor, right? Or this like possibility for embarrassment. What if people that I know see this, like acquaintances, right? Because a lot of my closest friends already know that I'm doing this. but acquaintances, random people from your past. Like, what if they're coming across this? And my sister and I would spend a lot of time sending TikToks back and forth talking about what did Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of the CEO, he had a recent episode talking about embarrassment being the cost of entry. So a lot of these like little mini messages about how the cringe is necessary and all of these sorts of things, they were all messages that were aligning with the thoughts and beliefs that I needed to have in order to rewrite the story of what it meant to be seen. So filling my content consumption with those sorts of messages was really helpful to get to a point where I was able to shift what I believed that it meant to put myself on the internet. Number 2, sitting with discomfort. You guys, I've talked about this. You know what? You know what's funny? The further that I get in my healing journey, the simpler it is getting, because I'm realizing that everything is just coming down to being able to sit with the uncomfortable emotions that arise in day-to-day life when you're trying new things, when you're pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone, when you are overcoming fears. Like, I feel like everything is just boiling down to being able to sit with discomfort. And this has been true for overcoming the fear of being seen. So there was a lot leading up to like finally having the courage to post. And then I did, right? I posted that initial video, and then that felt so uncomfortable. And like the anxiety, that initial anxiety of just like waiting to see what the response is going to be. Are people going to be nice? Are they not going to be nice, right? Like, there was definitely that initial discomfort in my body of like, oh my God, what could happen? And I found myself reverting back to old habits, right? Like trying to give myself a pep talk to ease the discomfort, or trying to distract myself to ease the discomfort. But every time I would remember, wait, Lisa, all you have to do is just sit with this, it became almost an empowering tool to know, wait, I don't have to think myself out of this. All I have to do is be present with the emotions. I know they say you're not supposed to like sit with your emotions as a way to make them leave, but like, we're working on it. We're not that evolved yet, okay? But sitting with the discomfort, that has felt more empowering. And so I'm working on getting into the habit, because we're like 10 videos in, 10 TikToks in, and it's still really uncomfortable to do. It's like, it's a fun process for sure. I like filming, I like talking, I like sharing my stories, and then I hit post and there's that initial like anxiety and discomfort. And then I sit with it and it eventually does dissipate. So the ability to just take action and sit with the discomfort, that it all boils down to that. Number 3, and the last thing that I'll mention about what it took to get to this point, has been healing my nervous system and learning how to manage my energy. When I talk about healing my nervous system, how I knew it was unhealed was the tension that I was holding in my jaw at all times. And even when I did so much work to alleviate the tension in my jaw, I would catch myself driving and realize I was driving like holding fists in my hand. And so I was kind of gauging all of the work that I was doing in my nervous system. I was kind of gauging, like when I would drive, like it would start to like lessen and lessen and lessen until I was no longer holding a fist. And now the tension in my jaw is basically gone. There will be times, things that occur that cause me to be tense, but my natural state, my resting state, is no longer tense. Healing my nervous system will have to be an entirely separate episode, but the things that I've done to heal my nervous system to now sit with you in a calm and peaceful state rather than tense and anxious, That has been absolutely key. Like I mentioned in the beginning, when I very first attempted to post on TikTok a year ago, my nervous system couldn't handle it. It was so overwhelming for me that I was like, nope, nope, delete, 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 delete. It was just, I didn't know how to manage that level of tension and anxiety in my body. So the things that I've done to heal my nervous system, I quit coffee. I drink matcha now, so we didn't cut caffeine entirely, but quitting coffee was big because I started to pay attention to the adrenaline rush that it was giving me. So quitting coffee was a big one. Working out 5 times a week, that has been really helpful to move the energy through my body, out, whatever. Diet, just like, I don't want to call it diet, but just the way that I'm eating now, making a lot of meals that are meant to reduce inflammation or limit the amount of inflammation you are putting into your body. Inflammation can cause a dysregulated nervous system, and with the foods that we have at our disposal, unfortunately, so many of our bodies are inflamed. And I'm not here sitting with you saying I have cured all inflammation in my body, but I have definitely taken steps to reduce it, and I can feel the difference. I have also just spent time like reworking the systems in my life, how my house operates, how we manage our to-do lists, how I schedule things. Like, I have just done so much to completely restructure my life so that I don't feel the same level of overwhelm that I once did. So there has just been so much, and I would say it's taken the full year to come to a place where my nervous system is a lot more regulated. And the last thing is learning to manage my energy. So I have a daily practice for clearing and protecting my energy. Every morning I spend 10 to 15 minutes with my crystal, with my pendulum, and I clear my energy. I balance my chakras. I will release any energy that I'm holding that is not mine. I will cut any energetic cords that are not serving me. I will put myself in a protective bubble. I don't know if I've mentioned this on this podcast before, but someone once told me, it was when I had an astrology session, they told me that I am like a walking sheet of Velcro, just moving through the world, just picking up and absorbing everything. Everything sticks to me. I'm highly sensitive. So having that practice of clearing and protecting my energy has been really helpful. And the last thing, I just implemented this, I would say several days ago. And I would say that this has been helpful for my nervous system and also in managing my energy. I have felt another level of peace and calm over the last few days. So I'll explain what it is, and then I'll explain how it came about. So every night after I put my son down to bed, he goes to sleep at 8, and then I will go into a different room, close the door, get myself nice and comfortable, and I will sit and I will set the intention to give my body 1 hour to process what it needs, release what it needs, to feel what it needs, to heal what it needs, and setting the intention that I will just be present with my body with that hour out of love. And I've done this for the past 3 days, and I don't know if it's because I have done somatic work at length. I don't know if it's because I do energy work, but for me, I can set that intention, and the minute I tell my body, go, my body will start to shake, or I will start to feel whatever I need to. So I've done this in the past, and I will just immediately, like on command, burst into tears. I'm like, can I be an actor with this type of skill? But anyways, I just burst into tears if that's what my body needs, if that's what my body needs to feel. So it's just like a mix of, like, sometimes my hands will start to move and I'll start to do energy work, but it's just a mix of somatic work, energy work, and just feeling whatever I need to feel. I've felt anger, I've felt sadness, just like whatever my body needs to process, I give it the time and space to do it, and it will go. It will just do it. And I just sit and I witness and I'm present with it. Doing that for the last 3 days. I'm speechless. Like that has been, I like crave it. Last night, I was like, it was 10 o'clock, and I was like, I really need to go to sleep. But if I don't do this, if I don't spend time and give my body the space, I will not feel as good the next day as I have for the last few days. So I sat and I give my body an hour. I say, you have an hour. It's taken 45 minutes before, it's taken 15 minutes. So it's just like, it depends on whatever my body needs that day. But that has been a beautiful practice that I've just implemented, and I can feel the calmness and the peace that that has allowed me. Oh, I also forgot to mention how this came about. So this came about because a few days ago, my toddler was just having a day. He was having a really rough day, and therefore I was having a really rough day. And I put him down to bed, and it took him a long time. So I want to say it was like 9 p.m. by the time I was done with his bedtime routine. And I walked out of the room and my husband was like, "Are you okay?" And I couldn't even look at him. I was like, "I need a minute." And I was like, "I'm going to burst into tears out of frustration and overwhelm." I had like hit my limit. And so I knew I just needed to like sit and process all of this. And so that was the first day that I sat and I was like, "Okay, body, like whatever you need." And I felt like a different person afterwards. It felt so good to let my body process everything that it needed to, that after I was done, I didn't even want to go on my phone. I was like, "Ugh." Yuck. Like, toss my phone aside. I do not even want to scroll anything right now because I feel like that would take away from how good I am feeling in this moment. So I like sat and I did a puzzle. I love puzzles, you guys. I don't know what it is. I've loved them since I was a kid. My mom says that even when I was a year old, I used to sit in my high chair like working on puzzles, and that love for puzzles has never left. So I sat and I was like, no screens, like I just want to work on a puzzle. And like my night just completely shifted from this state of overwhelm and frustration to like peace. So, anyways, we were supposed to be talking about the fear of being seen, but I think you can clearly understand how excited I am about this little piece that has really been helpful for me for the last few days. And I think it is, I'm mentioning it because I think that for me, being able to move through my day in a state of calm and peace, that is what makes the daunting tasks feel less daunting. It makes the fear feel less scary, and it allows me to take more risks and do these bigger things and put myself out there because my natural state is calm. If I was attempting to add to that already uncomfortable state with more discomfort, like I don't know that I would be capable of that. So I think that getting to this place of peace and calm is what has allowed me to further step out of my comfort zone because I have the capacity to manage those small discomforts. So anyways, those are the big three things that if I could boil all of the inner work down over the last year to get me to this point of allowing myself to be visible, those are the big things. And the last thing I'll say about protecting my energy, because I think that it was important that I had built this daily practice in before allowing myself to be visible on a larger scale, because when you're visible on a larger scale, that means that your energy is being potentially impacted by a lot more people, right? Like when we're talking about energetic cords, like you are energetically connected to a lot more people when you're allowing yourself to be seen on a larger level. So the energetic hygiene, being able to cut those cords, being able to protect my energy, like that is so important. So I think that was something that I forgot to mention, but I wanted to include. That piece has been really important for me to implement as a daily practice before I was able to do this. So I hope any of this was helpful. If you are in a position where you are feeling called to be visible, called to be seen, but you're still working to overcome the hurdle that a lot of people face, which is the fear of being seen. And thank you all for listening as always, and I will see you again soon.